Now, last week against the Patriots, we had somewhat of a better offensive showing. I wouldn't say it was a good one, but we had a decent one. We still went 1 for 10 on third down. We still didn't get the run game going until it was vastly too late. But when I look back at the passing game and just other stuff in general, I start to notice that there are some things that are easily repeatable in terms of finding success and getting the rhythm going for this offense. Now, if you've been here for a while, you already know I uploaded a video over the summer about how we need to use more RPOs because it takes advantage of the talent that we have and it gets Mike going and gets him in the rhythm. Now, I don't think we need to base our entire offense off of that because it just simplifies the position, and that's not what you want at this level, but I do think there's a place for it in this game. And also, if you watched the video uploaded earlier this week about Mike himself, he did very good with play action passes, and there's some play action passes that I like, schematically that worked well against the Patriots that can work well against any team when called correctly. I know the run game will get going with time, but I do want to talk about some of the other things because I saw some things on tape that are sustainable in my opinion. By that, I mean you could do this type of stuff every week and get the offense going and get them in the rhythm. That way we can go down the field and score some points. Because even though people say we can move the ball, we cannot move the ball consistently. It'll come in bunches. But anyways, I want to talk about those things that I find sustainable, those being RPOs and play action passes, which we didn't do a lot of play action passes last week. We really don't do them a lot, period. But I did see some things schematically that I do like, that I do think we need to take advantage of. And also the RPO looks that we do use when we're in a 2-back set. So before we get into this video, if you guys do enjoy this video and want to see more, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, helps the YouTube algorithm. But let's go and get into the video. Let's talk about the film. Now, I want to talk about the play action passes first because when I was going through charting the game, I did notice something and I wanted to get it backed up by the numbers. I'm going to show y'all the chart and y'all can see how interesting this is. So when we look at this chart, it's separated by quarter. It has total yards, the number of play action plays, the number of total plays, the play action rate, the yards on those play action plays, and the yards per play action. Now, when you get to the conclusion of these numbers, if you don't want to read all of this, basically there was a positive correlation between play action rate and the amount of yards that we had in the quarter. And when you watch that game, you can kind of reasonably assume that the reason why we didn't use play action more often earlier in the game is because we went down so fast. Now, we're still by no means a play action team, but does that mean we are trying to actively use more play action, but we just got down early? Could that be the case? Now, if this is the case, and Zac Robinson actually wants to use more play action, it's just the game script got out of hand, then I'm all for it. Now, this is where I veer off from the general consensus of just using play action in general. I only want to use a certain amount of play action concepts because there's about 6 to maybe 8 different types of play action passes. The first of the two I want to look at is more of the progression stuff where it's not necessarily a shot play, you're just trying to sustain drives. Most people think play action passes are used to create shot plays, which is true, but most times you're also trying to sustain drives by getting those 8 to 10 yards, not those 20 to 30 yard plays. The main difference is how many guys you have in protection versus having out on routes. So in this play, we're going to have 4 guys out on routes. This play right here, we've turned 2 half field concepts into a full field progression. So at the top of the screen, we're getting a post wheel concept by David Sills and Darnell Mooney, and then you can progress to the drive concept with Kyle Pitts and Drake London. This type of play gives you a consistent read no matter the coverage. Now defensively, what we're going to be getting is a hot blitz. It's going to be a 6-man pressure with a 3 deep 2 underneath. It's more match based, but as you can see, based on this coverage, we're going to be attacking the middle of the field because that's the most vulnerable. And I also want to note that it is a good job by Bijan Robinson to abandon the play action fake just to go pick up the slot blitz. Now I want to show y'all why this is repeatable in my opinion, because when you pause this, you can see that Drake London is wide open and you can see there's a clear conflict defender. Robert Spillane has to choose between the dig or the shallow, and he picks the dig right here. With the post wheel concept pulling defenders out of the way to open up the middle of the field, I could see this really being a repeatable thing. And if we do run this in the future and the team doesn't blitz, we've shown in the past that we've used green grass rules on these shallow crossing routes, so we have answers in case they still have 7 guys in coverage. These aren't the highlight plays off of play action that people want to see, but these plays keep you in those manageable down and distances. Now the next type of play action pass I think we need to do more that I saw in the game is more the movement stuff, where it's the bootlegs, the sprint outs, all of that. But in this play right here, it's a bootleg. And when you look at the design of the play, you can see it's a well-designed play. That's never been the issue with Zac Robinson. It's just the purpose behind these plays. Sometimes the sequencing can be a little bit off, or there's sometimes no sequencing at all, but you see he knows how to design a play. This type of play can be easily repeatable once Mike gets more decisive, because this play was there for the taking. He just pump fakes on the initial throw, and it eliminates all the rack ability, and it was an errant throw too. But good play by Bijan to make that catch. Now this next one, I want y'all to listen to this snippet from Zac Robinson, and then we're going to get into the next two plays, but this really caught my attention listening to the press conferences.
There was some looks, where we have kind of an RPO where we end up throwing a bubble out there to Bijan or any of our guys that shoot. If we do hand it off, the run looks pretty good, but we'll always take those advantageous looks, especially to get the ball to some of our guys in space. So the rushing numbers, could they look different if a couple of those get handed off? For sure. A little bit of both. There was opportunities, like I kind of mentioned with Ken, he was in on some of those runs that the ball ended up going on an RPO to, our receivers or to Bijan. And so, there was 3 or 4 of those in the game where he could possibly had 3 or 4 carries, and maybe he gets going with a little bit there, but we definitely got to get Ty going. He's way too valuable for the offense. We got to find, those spots to put him in, knowing, hey, we love B, he can do everything. He's playing running back, he's playing receiver, he's doing everything for us. 3rd down, 2nd down, 1st down, doesn't matter, but getting Ty going on some early down stuff is definitely a goal.
This is one of those things where I really give credit to Zac for trying to jumpstart the offense, and that's by leveraging your talent. I really do like him using the threat of Bijan Robinson in space to open up lanes in the run. As you can see, it does work. The only thing is with RPOs, you have to have your blocking on the perimeter perfect. And as you can see in that play, it was not perfect at all. But let's look at the anatomy of this play. So once again, I really do like the design of leveraging Bijan's talents to open up lanes for everybody else. And as you can see, that does look good where you have this bubble RPO. You're going to short motion in Kyle Pitts to create a stack, and he's going to work off of that. But at the same time, you do have the Y zone going the other way, which puts Robert Spillane in a bind. Do you want to go help out on the swing pass, or do you want to help out in the run? And like Zac Robinson said, there were some numbers towards the run side where if you handed it off, you could have had a good look right there. But at the same time, this is number 7 he's throwing the ball to, so I'm not going to bash Michael for, hey, you should have handed the ball off. This is Bijan Robinson with the ball in space. But the only thing that does go wrong in this play is that Kyle Pitts, he doesn't, execute his block, and we only get minimal yards off of this. However, this is something that you can easily repeat in terms of, trying to generate some quick and easy offense for Mike. However, if we do want to talk about some possible critiques in terms of how can we make this play better, what I would do if I was, in Zac's ear is I would recommend he widen the splits of these 3 guys. That way you could really put this linebacker in the bind and make him declare sooner. And also to show you these numbers again, when I show the +2 and the -1, I'm talking about in relation to the numbers on the field. So Drake will be right on the numbers, Kyle will be +2 from the numbers, and Bijan will be -1 inside the numbers. In a game that's decided by inches, those splits can really be the difference between a blown up play and a successful play. And sometimes this also comes down to just making one block or just that minor detail that's incorrect. This play is an example of design and execution flaws. So for this one, we're basically getting the same play, we're just doing it out of a slightly different formation. Now once again, I don't have any issues with the concept because you're doing a bubble screen RPO, but from a design standpoint, if you're going to leave the backside in unblocked, usually he would be a read key for the quarterback. Instead, we choose not to block him, and he can just run down the line and make the tackle on this play, as you saw earlier. Whereas I think if you were to read him out and put him a part of the play, then you could actually stress the defense in multiple ways with the run, of keep, and a throw. It also doesn't help that Chris Lindstrom loses on his block because he just completely gets dirted. But as you can see, the blueprint is there to get the yards. It's just those 1 or 2 things that are slightly off that just completely stall the offense. Now, above all, I do think the most important thing coming into Sunday against the Colts is to get the run game going. Because if we can get that run game going, once again, the whole offense opens up, and also you're keeping a very good offense off the field. And if you didn't know, the Indianapolis Colts are on pace with the 2016 Falcons offense. So that means they're on an on-top. I can't even talk. They're on an all-time pace right now. They could finish top 10 in scoring of all time. I think they're already like one of the best offenses of all time in terms of points per drive or something like that. But if we can get this run game going by any means necessary, if we get everybody involved like I know we can, that we've shown that we can do before, we can absolutely compete with Indianapolis. Their defense has been benefiting from, an elite offense, much like the 2016 team. Now, this Indianapolis Colts defense is not as bad as the 2016 Falcons defense, but Those two teams are eerily similar minus the quarterback. And I know it's been like a lot of, you know, negativity around the fan base, deservedly so. Like, we're in a lost position right now. Like, we essentially have to go undefeated to like even have a chance at the playoffs. But at the end of the day, for me, I want us to, you know, still win games, win as many as possible. I had us slotted about 10-7, 9-8, and that is still very much doable. It's going to be hard, but it's very doable. And we let the Patriots game slip away from us. I think we really needed that one to get some momentum going into Berlin, but I do think we can still come out there and upset them, especially if we keep them off the field. That's the main thing. Keep Daniel Jones and the offense off the field. And the main reason I want to pull out the RPOs and the play action is because their linebackers cannot cover at all. Zaire Franklin can't cover. The other guy can't cover. They have some very low coverage grades, and when you watch them on tape, they are very gettable, okay? If you watch the Rams and the Colts game, they were taking advantage of them all game, and it was pretty much easy for Matthew Stafford to pick apart their defense. So bottom line, let's get the run game going. Let's stay on the field. Let's sustain these drives. Let's not go 1 for 10 on third downs anymore. If we give our defense a chance to just sit there and rest and, you know, adjust the game plan just a little bit, we'll be fine. We definitely could beat these guys comfortably, I might add. But anyways, if y'all did enjoy this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more. More will be coming. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.